And for today's video, I am going to create a literary discussion of one of the famous novels in literature. The title is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. So what are you waiting for? Let's watch and enjoy! But before anything else, let us know a short background of the author's biography. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky was born on November 11, 1821 at Moscow, Russia. October 30, Old Style, a Russian novelist, short story writer, essayist, and journalist. Numerous literary critics rate him as one of the greatest novelists in the world of literature, as many of his works are considered highly influential masterpieces. He was died in February 1881, January 28, Old Style, at St. Petersburg. Now let us know the characters of the story. Are you ready? Of course you are! First is Rodion Romanovich Raskolnikov, Rodio Rodka, the protagonist of the novel. A former student, Raskolnikov is now dispute, living in a cramped garret at the top of an apartment building. Sofia Semyonovna Marmeladov, Sonya Arseneka, Raskolnikov's love and Marmeladov's daughter. Avdotya Romanovna Raskolnikov, Donya Antonika, Raskolnikov's sister. Arkady Ivanovich Svidrigailov, Donya's depraved former employer. Dmitry Prokofiev Razumikhin, Raskolnikov's friend. Porfiry Petrovich, the magistrate in charge of investigating the murders. He is Raskolnikov's primary antagonist, and though he appears only occasionally in the novel, his presence is constantly felt. Semyon Sakharovich Marmeladov, Pulcheria Alexandrovna Raskolnikov, Raskolnikov's mother. Pyotr Petrovich Lozin, Donya's fiancé. Andrei Semyonovich Lebestyavnikov. Alyona Ivanovna, an old wooden pawnbroker whom Raskolnikov kills. Zvezda Ivanovna, Alyona Ivanovna's sister. Zuzimov, Raskolnikov's doctor and a friend of Razumikhin. Ilya Petrovich Gunpowder, the police official whom Raskolnikov encounters after committing the murder and to whom he confesses at the end of the novel. And the setting of the story, the novel's main setting is St. Petersburg, but the smaller spaces are also fascinating. Take for example Raskolnikov's room. It's filthy and depressing, and it's even blamed for his poor mental health. The majority of the story takes place in the summer. We are often warned that it is unbearably hot and uncomfortable. And for the mood of the story, through the harshness and confusion of crime, murder, and the strain trying to avoid detection, there are also moments of intimacy. And for the theme of the novel, alienation is the primary theme. Crime and punishment. At first, Raskolnikov's pride separates him from society. There's more, like for example, crime and morality, free will and coincidence, madness, suffering, and nihilism. Furthermore, the point of view of the novel is the author uses a third-person omniscient point of view in order to tell his story. The summary or synopsis. A poor, paranoid young student named Raskolnikov convinces himself that he is extraordinary. He develops a theory that suggests that the world's most extraordinary men should be permitted to commit any crime in pursuit of the greater good of humanity. Raskolnikov lives in a tiny apartment, spends with a little money he has on strange altruistic causes, and plots some mysterious terrible deed that will prove his superiority. Finally, Raskolnikov decides to test his theory. He murders an elderly pawnbroker whom he considers a leech on society. He also murders the pawnbroker's half-sister, who intrudes on the murder scene unexpectedly. Raskolnikov escapes the scene of the crime, but soon falls ill with a fever and spends several days unconscious in his tiny apartment. When Raskolnikov begins to recover, he learns that his sister Donya plans to marry a pompous, wealthy man named Lozin. Raskolnikov is furious, believing that Donya is sacrificing her happiness on his behalf. When Lozin comes to see Raskolnikov in St. Petersburg, Raskolnikov erupts with anger and throws insults at his prospective brother-in-law. Raskolnikov rises from his sick bed and sneaks out. Enraged, Raskolnikov forbids his sister from marrying Lozin. Donya's former employer, a rich man named Svidrigailov, arrives in St. Petersburg. His extramarital pursuit of Donya caused a scandal that nearly ruined her reputation in the provinces. Now that Svidrigailov, wife, is dead, he has come to St. Petersburg in the hopes that he can seduce Donya. Memories of the murders plague Raskolnikov. Afterward, while preparing for Marmeladov's funeral, Raskolnikov and Sonia prepare to talk about religion and morality. Raskolnikov pities Sonia, who has been forced into prostitution by her poverty. Raskolnikov decides to tell her who murdered the two women, promising to return the next day. Porfiry interviews Raskolnikov again. Though he is certain that Raskolnikov is the murderer, he is not yet able to provide proof. Raskolnikov visits Sonia and tells her what he did. In the room next door, Svidrigailov eavesdrops on the conversation and learns the truth. Later, Svidrigailov tries to use his knowledge of the confession to blackmail Donya into marriage. She refuses him, accuses him of murdering his wife, and she tries to shoot him in the head. She misses. But Svidrigailov realizes that Donya will never love him. He lets her go, and the next day, he commits suicide. After Man is arrested for falsely confessing to the murders, Porfiry visits Raskolnikov and reveals that he knows the truth. However, he wishes to give Raskolnikov time to make a sincere confession. After an anxious night and with support from Sonia, Raskolnikov visits the police station and confesses. He is sentenced to a penal colony in Siberia, where Sonia joins him. While there, he takes the pieces of his life back together. Now, let's go to the exciting part, the moral takeaways. First is, the attitude of thinking and seeing ourselves as superior than others will not be considered as a healthy living because we might then live with fear surpassed by other individuals. The second is, Dostoevsky encourages readers to understand that pain and suffering are in everyone's lives. It is to think that in suffering we might find humility, simplicity, and a deep appreciation for important things. Third is, using other people to gain an advantage is a bad attitude that should be avoided by everyone in the world, because while we may succeed in the first try, what about the next? How will we deal with the challenges we've met if we don't have to go through the difficult portion, which is the first step toward fulfillment? It can't be as simple as others believe, since we're putting our lives and futures on the line. The last but not least, the mystery of human existence lies not in just staying alive, but in finding something to live for. And that's all for today's video, and thank you for watching. Goodbye!